Let's think about our kitchen tables. What do you see? Some of you may be seeing books and papers and colored pencils. But can you see the independent adult your child will become? The future is invisible. Others may be seeing a table set for a family meal with your family members gathered around sharing news of the day. But can you see me? I am also sitting at your kitchen table. I am a cultural enricher. I collect people's stories and use what I learn to design homes where everyone can thrive. And I can tell you that those who decide whether you can have a kitchen table are also sitting at your kitchen table. They're just invisible. So if you want to thrive, you need to pay attention to both the visible and invisible ways by which our homes can support or suppress our ability to thrive. I come from the Mediterranean island of Cyprus, and one of the old sayings I grew up hearing goes like this: Anthropos en otopos, chotopos yerimos. Translation: a human is a place, and the place is neglected. In Cyprus, we use the saying to describe the difference a person can make. Places can be anything, from a kitchen table to a park. A kitchen table that is neglected, it is broken, dusty, full of clutter, is a sign no one cares or there's trouble in the family. The saying confused me. Why do we need to focus on a place that is neglected to show the difference a person can make? I much prefer the saying to be, a human is a place, and the place is thriving. Years later, I learned why. I was 10 years old when Turkey invaded Cyprus, and my family lost our house and our home in the village of Kondea. I was left with a gap in my heart that could not be closed. So I turned to my schoolwork. My parents always told me that education is something no one can ever take away from you. Before I completed high school, I was awarded a scholarship for Greek Cypriot refugees to study architecture in the US. Little did I know that I would meet my husband a few months before I graduated from Carnegie Mellon University, and that we would move to Minneapolis. I was struggling though. I didn't know how to mend my broken self. And on top of that, I was pregnant with my oldest daughter at the time. How could I create a home for my family when I was housed but not homed? Once again, I turned to my parents' advice. I used my PhD to collect the stories of other refugees from Cyprus, hoping they can help me heal and find answers. And then, as a professor at the University of Minnesota, I connected with our Hmong, Somali, Mexican, Ojibwe, and African American communities. This is what I concluded, that home should be a right. At the moment, housing is recognized as a basic human right in Article 25 of the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights. Home, however, is more than housing. It is more than having a roof over our heads. Home is a process for creating meaning in our lives, and homemaking is fundamental to our existence and our ability to thrive. Let me take you inside the homes of 3 families. We will focus on their kitchen tables. Each of these 3 stories will help make visible an invisible way by which our kitchen tables can support or suppress our ability to thrive. Who we can become, how do we relate to others, and who decides for us. The first kitchen table is about who we can become. This is the kitchen table that helped Dr. Morales achieve her dream of becoming a doctor. Dr. Morales is a poster child for DACA, the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program that enables those brought into the U.S. without legal papers as children to receive deferred action from deportation. Dr. Morales grew up in a studio apartment with her parents and 2 siblings. Space was tight, so she used the kitchen table to carve out a place to call her own, so she could spread out her books when she got home from school. Her mother couldn't help with homework, but she would reach over the kitchen counter and pass her a snack. I asked, what would you say to those who might insist that you are the one who did it, not the kitchen table? And she replied, everyone needs their tools to do their job. And for me, this was the table. This kitchen table is a tool to help us reach our full potential. The second table is about relationships. This is the kitchen table where an Ojibwe elder makes blankets. Ojibwe are one of 11 federally recognized tribes in Minnesota. She offers her blankets as gifts to honor her relationships with other Ojibwe when she attends tribal ceremonies. Tribal ceremonies are done in the Ojibwe language, and she's one of a few elders who can speak it. She sees language as a gift to be respected, and so she takes every chance possible to speak Ojibwe with her children and grandchildren. Her house is always open, so they can drop by at any time for a snack, for Sunday breakfast. She made sure that her sewing machine had a spot on the kitchen table so she could pass her knowledge and traditions to future generations. In the previous story, we saw the kitchen table being a tool for who we can become. This story helps us see how a kitchen table can shape our relationships with our ancestors, our family members, our community. And last, who decides for us? This is the kitchen table where an African-American mother told us she teaches her 2 girls to be self-sufficient and responsible in society. She had reason to worry. Between 2007 and 2018, household incomes were down 2.1% for African-American households, but up for everyone else. 3 times a week, the girls had to cook and set the table for a meal. Research backs her up. Teenagers who partake in family meals have higher academic performance, higher self-esteem, and are overall healthier, as families that eat around the table tend to eat healthier meals. The space for that kitchen table was too tight for that family of 4. So even if it meant extra energy and effort, the girls pulled the table out for family meals and moved it against the wall for all other times. This kitchen table helps make visible those who decide whether there will be space and who can afford it. Architects, interior designers, policymakers, funders. A human is a place, and the place is neglected. See, ancient wisdom cannot be taken lightly. It is founded on years and years of lived experiences. The saying is a wake-up call. It tells us that only if we understand homes that are neglected, we can create homes where everyone can thrive. Here is what is happening. Homemaking is a process, which means we can intervene at any point. This process begins in our homes, and our homes are made up of spatial parameters: walls, ceilings, floors, windows, lighting, cabinets, and furniture. The ways these elements are put together can support or suppress how we create meaning, what we eat, how we cook, what we wear, with whom we socialize, what language do we speak, to whom do we pray. The ways we create meaning can then support or suppress our well-being, which can then support or suppress our ability to thrive. Well, it's good to know that all of us can be cultural enrichers and intervene to create communities where everyone can thrive. In my classes, I intervene by challenging our interior design students to transform the design of home interiors and support people's ability to thrive. For example, In this before scenario, the kitchen table is disconnected from the kitchen, which makes it difficult for family members to have conversations and to transfer food to the table for a healthy meal. In this after scenario, we moved the kitchen to recreate the setting Dr. Morales had in her studio apartment. This allows family members to build stronger connections. A child can be sitting at the kitchen table, across the counter, learning recipes and sharing news of the day from the person cooking. You don't have to be an architect or an interior designer to intervene. Let's go back to your kitchen table. Say to yourself, I am a kitchen table. And the kitchen table is neglected. Start with what is visible. Check your size so your family members can gather around you. Check your location so you can be easy to reach. Check your storage so you can be free of clutter. Check your lighting so you can support all kinds of activities. Then pay attention to what's invisible. Who do you want to become? How do you relate to others? And who decides for you? Use your power to support healthy eating practices. Encourage conversations that nurture independent people and respect histories, traditions, and languages. Use your power to expand your relationships. Learn about those in your community who may not have the resources to claim their right to you. How can you be a better place for everyone? Don't take no for an answer. Use your power to advocate for policies, regulations, and zoning laws that ensure people can afford you and that you can be found in safe, healthy, and connected homes, neighborhoods, and cities around the world. We all have a role to play in creating communities where everyone can thrive. I want to leave you with a story about my great-grandparents, Panagis and Kyriaki Hadjiyanni. They taught me to trust the power of places to support our ability to thrive for years and generations to come. My great-grandfather was a self-taught architect, builder, and sculptor when Cyprus was a British colony. People were poor. They lacked running water, electricity, and formal education. In 1924, he designed and built this school in the village of Xylodimbu. Over the school's entrance, he included these incredible carvings from ancient Greek mythology. Zeus is at the top in the form of an eagle. He brings knowledge down to Nike, the goddess of victory, so she can pass it on to humanity. He did that for free. There were no funds to pay him. And here I am, 97 years later, honoring his legacy in a dress made out of a traditional handloom weaving from Cyprus, because I also trust the power of places, even places as small as a kitchen table.